All right, let performance review season commence today. Mitch Johnson, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell step into our office. It is time for the HR department to continue to rule. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Spurs. My name is Matthew Tynan. Thank you, as always, for making us a part of your day. On today's show, it is all performance reviews. We got to get the show on the road because the draft is quickly approaching. That means today on the show ahead, later on, it's going to be Luke Kornet, Harrison Barnes. We've got Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. But first, Mitch Johnson, Keldon Johnson, you are up. And to help me assist them today, straight from Human Relations. You may be familiar with him in the past. Trevor Zickgraf is here to help me conduct these reviews. And by the way, in case you all missed it yesterday, and because the video on YouTube got buried a little bit by something else, our mock draft, please go check that out as well. But we did performance reviews on Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, and De'Aaron Fox yesterday, and I wanted to give Trevor an opportunity since he wasn't here yesterday. If you had anything on your mind about any one of those three guys, something quick, something brief, that you'd like them to know before we enter the offseason.
I would just say simply that teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay.
And no one should go into this offseason thinking that any binary choices need to be made amongst two players who both happen to be listed at point guard. You know, you could do both. Both work.
Very subtle.
Both had positive contributions to the cause throughout the season.
We don't even need to mention any names. Like if they don't already know who you are speaking about, then we have real issues. You know,
Yes.
we have real issues behind the scenes.
Well, welcome to the pod for the first time.
Of course, we're talking about De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper. But if you are familiar with that, we don't need to tell you much more. All right. Also, bringing along his pen and paper today is Tyler, the producer.
Hello.
Who Hello. Someone in my in our chat at Corporate Knowledge told Tyler that it was funny that he interrupted me right in the middle with just a hello and giving him good ideas. So
And they were right.
okay, and they were right. Fine. Here's what we're gonna do. We got to start from the top, right? When we're conducting these interviews, when we're looking at these performances, we got to start with the man in charge of this group over the last really, year and a half plus, almost 2 years, but for real this year, and that is Mitch Johnson. Tyler, what are we asking ourselves? What are we asking the employee in this case? What is the question for Mitch Johnson?
Well, just real quick to preface Mitch Johnson's season, the San Antonio Spurs went 62-20 in his first regular season after only winning 34 games the season before and 22 the season before that.
Seems
This is
good.
the first team since the 07-08 Celtics to reach 55 wins after having fewer than 35 the previous season. And to end the season, went 26-2 in the last 28 games. So, my question to you,
season.
is that what I
regular season?
What did I say?
The season. We know how the season ends. Sorry.
Anyway.
Let's go.
My question for you is, how'd Mitch do in his first year?
I mean, this is one of those things where with all the criticism that has been swirling around from, the criticism that we've levied, that others have levied, you have to be fair and look at it from the other side of things. This was, maybe they didn't finish the finals very well, but say what you will, this is a team that was ready to play every single night and pretty much from the jump this season. I think that one of the good signs when people ask, like, what are you looking for when you're evaluating the way a coach performs? I think it can be really complicated just simply because we're not in front of the whiteboard. We're not in the film room. We're not in the huddles. But one of the things that I believe is easiest to pull from Trevor is how ready does your team look on a nightly basis? How well do you respond to losses, to losing streaks, to any sort of bumpy road along the way? Like, what does the response look like? And I think, like, to that end, Mitch Johnson was excellent this season, especially when you consider this was his first real season in terms of implementing his own system and not sort of being a caretaker for Greg Popovich's system last year, just trying to keep that team afloat. So I'm going to turn to you, Trevor. I think that from that standpoint, like, to me, it's an easy A, and I'm not even necessarily looking for letter grades, but like the way Mitch Johnson steered this team and had his players' ear and had a pulse of the team in general, I thought he was great. Obviously, there are some things toward the very end, especially in the finals, that are going to raise some questions, have raised some questions. I think things that need to be addressed without question in the offseason. But I thought this was a really good season for Mitch, man.
Yeah, I don't want to say no notes because there are notes, but yeah, A minus. I mean, like, I was incredibly skeptical of Mitch coming into this because I just didn't the Spurs didn't do a search. They just knew that this was the guy, and I didn't know what about last year like jumped out as like, oh, this is it. This is the guy. Well, obviously they trusted him, and Pop and RC and Brian Wright got together and decided, like, this is the guy moving forward. And I don't know how you can argue with what he did, especially in the regular season. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't feel like there's like a for a first. I will also label like a first year head coach, because you're right. Like last year, it was very much like we're still running Pop stuff. Like, I mean, he was an interim head coach at that point. First full year as a head coach, I don't know how you could, especially in the regular season and for 3 rounds of the playoffs, I don't know how you could ask for a better coaching job for someone so young.
Yeah. We mentioned the finals, and we kind of know how the finals went. If you guys could change something about some of the decisions Mitch Johnson made during that, what decisions would you change?
So we were talking about this, by the way. I had the squad show last night as well. Had a long discussion. That's an hour-long show. We get into a lot more stuff. But, you know, one of the areas I was asking Devin Brown is when you are watching a huddle or a timeout or whatever, and you'll hear people say, like, why isn't Mitch Johnson saying this or that? Why isn't he telling them to get into the paint and stop shooting threes? I'm willing to bet a whole bunch of money he was saying those things. So, like, where was the disconnect in what is being said in a huddle and what actually transpires on the court? I think that there is, and at least in my opinion, again, we're not in these huddles, but one of the things that I think along the way he's going to get a better grasp of, especially in the really high leverage moments, is having the confidence to move in certain directions of, like, grabbing Victor a couple of more minutes to rest, going with, you know, maybe a certain player longer than you might otherwise, maybe have the, I don't want to say courage, but like the faith to go to somebody off the bench if a starter isn't playing well, and know that, like, that decision, if you're worried about the way anybody's feeling about minutes in any situation, and I don't really think that he did feel that way. I don't think he felt any sort of pressure in that sense, but I just think finding his own voice and finding a level of confidence in the roster as a whole, which will come as the roster develops further. But other than that, like, you just got to figure out a way to keep the team organized as best you can down the stretch. And that's the most difficult part, because think about it. How many times over the course of the season, it wasn't very many, did they have to deal with a whole bunch of clutch time, a whole bunch of execution, Trevor? Like, they were able to sort of rely on a system much more than the execution of individual plays, of individual actions. Like, I think that's the next step. That's the next connecting point, right?
Sure. I would add, this is going to sound meaner than I mean it to, but like, trust your guys a little less when things are going sideways. Like, okay. I felt like there was times in the finals, and really, like, I mean, I do feel like we would see this team they'd get up big early, and this is not just the finals, but we would see them get up big early, and then they'd blow a lead, and then especially like in the regular season, like they'd build it back up, and it was just like I think it was probably just like some mid-game complacency and stuff. But obviously in the finals, they came back and like really bit them over and over again, and I feel like sometimes it was just like Pop would have called a quick timeout and just yelled at people. And
I was about to say.
And I don't think Mitch was ready to do that, or felt like I'm just gonna let these guys figure it out. And like I guess like if he were coaching the Knicks, then yeah, like maybe I might trust these 25 to 30-year-old guys to figure it out. But I don't think this team, even with and clearly like I think pressure took a toll on even the veterans that were on the team that did end up playing in the finals. So I would say trust less, still trust, but trust less. And then, I don't know. I think just what you said about like just being willing to be like, this guy doesn't have it right now.
I like what you said. I like what you said about Pop, and we'll move on to Keldon and Devin here in a second. But I like what you said about Pop. I think that there have been times were times during the postseason run where like Pop would have pulled a line change, like a hockey line change, or pulled a trio of guys off the court. And I think that when I talk about having that sort of confidence in himself and in that voice, like building up that confidence both in himself and like with trust with the players that he's doing the right thing overall, and just having the confidence to be like, get out of here. We're putting these three guys in here right now. Some way to send a message. I think that is but again, that comes with experience and age. Like there's a much bigger difference between Pop, who's been there for forever, who has seniority over a lot of these guys, and like Mitch Johnson's barely older than some of the dudes on this team. So it'll come with experience and time. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Mitch is a very confident dude, but even he has like admitted over the course of the postseason, he's still learning a few things. All right, coming up next, we're going to get into Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. Interesting seasons for both of those guys. We'll see you in a second.
Now, I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage, we got tuition, we got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LocdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LocdownNBA. That's ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
All right, we are back. And just a reminder, the NBA draft is like 5 days away, ready or not. It just so happens we have the guide for you, and it is free. Player comps, 1-sentence summaries, strengths, weaknesses, it has it all. Know everything you need to know about the NBA draft from the experts at No Ceilings. It's the Locked On NBA Draft Guide. Get it for free at lockedonpodcast.com/NBA Draft Guide, or you can click on the link in the description below. By the way, I will be joined tomorrow by Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings to discuss some draft prospects, something I know that Trevor is excited about, by the way. Always a draft guy in his heart, no matter how well the big team is doing in San Antonio. By the way, if you are new to Locked On Spurs, please be sure to like and share our videos and subscribe to the channel and wherever you get podcasts. If you haven't already, we really do appreciate it. All right, Tyler, we got Devin, we got Keldon. Who do you want to start with first?
I want to start with Devin.
Okay.
And the question is, what do we learn about Dev in the postseason? I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay. Go.
Going back to the play-in tournament, I can't remember which year with DeJounte Murray when they lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. I want to say 2022?
20? Oh my gosh, man.
I don't remember. Anyway.
That whole era is a blur.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
But he showed up and played in that game, and I think he just continued that kind of trend here in this postseason. All postseason long, even when the shot wasn't falling, he found ways to contribute in big ways, especially on the defensive end, which I think as Spurs fans, that's like something we've been waiting to see for the last couple seasons.
Yeah, Trevor, I'm going to kick this to you because you and I and our friend Bruno Passos over there in Scotland these days, but like Devin was for years kind of an ongoing point of discussion for us in sort of the group chats and everything like that. I think that, I don't know if he's a fully realized player yet, like only 25 years old, still has some room to grow. But what did you like to you watching? What was the biggest difference with Devin this season compared to his previous, 5 or whatever it is?
I think just the team and him realizing that he's not a superstar, that he is like, he can be an elite role player, I guess might be like the complementary version of that, or just the lower usage, like the way he embraced the lower usage, and especially in the playoffs, man, the way he just like, that guy was even more locked in on defense than he was throughout the season. And definitely his best defensive season of the year,
easily,
or season of his career. I would like to see the shot is still like, he still like is like a 35%, 36% 3-point shooter. You hope that gets up a little bit higher, but like I don't feel like he's like he's not like a sniper yet. And maybe he can get there,
Well, he's had seasons where he's been kind of a sniper, so it is a little bit interesting to see.
And maybe just the playoffs, or like the playoffs are fresh in my mind, and his shot was not falling as much in the playoffs. But like I just feel like he and the team embraced a lesser role for him, and to me, it was the best season of his career.
Oh, I think so, at least from an impact standpoint, for sure. And it wasn't because, like, in one of the things that we saw over the years, like when he was taking on the mantle of being a higher level scorer for them, is we still saw the nights where he would just kind of disappear. Like it wasn't it didn't seem like it was in his DNA to be like a 20 shot a night type of player, if that makes sense. But
in particular, if his shot wasn't falling, he would disappear on the floor.
But there would even be nights where it's like, oh man, he just ripped off like 7 points in a minute and a half or something, and then you're just like, where did he go the whole second quarter? And I think that one of the things that was most impressive about Devin this year is like his willingness to just insert himself wherever it needed to be done. So defense, rebounding, secondary facilitating, like all of those little things. I was especially impressed by his rebounding in the postseason. Like he was really helpful on nights when Victor really needed somebody on the weak side of the glass to go crash. I thought he did a really good job rebounding in the postseason. You already mentioned the defense, probably his best defense that we've seen at the very least since his rookie year.
Collected a whole rogues gallery of centers this postseason. It was fun to watch.
He was collecting the heads of 7-footers, man. I thought that this was as solid, and there's still room to grow for Devin. Like, I just thought that this was as solid a season as you could have asked for, sort of in this role, and I think he's gonna like just continue to fill it out. And so I'm with you. Like there are these nights where it's like the 3-pointer just isn't falling, and the better and more reliable he is from the perimeter, the more impactful he's going to be. He was a guy at certain points, to me at least, that you just couldn't take him off the floor. Like if he was the guy getting the most minutes that night, I was like, do it. Like, just keep that guy on the floor. The conditioning is obviously great. And just the way that he was impacting games in so many different capacities was critical for San Antonio. All right. We got to keep moving, man. Tyler, it's Keldon time. What do we got for Keldon?
6th man of the year, Keldon Johnson, had a real rough postseason. What do you guys think he can do to be better the next time the Spurs are there?
I would so I do want to give him a little bit of credit in the finals. I know the scoring was tough. I thought that his defense in the finals was actually good. I thought he really contributed on that end of the floor as well as on the glass. But to me, like, one of the things that was really exposed in the postseason was teams were just loading up for his right-handed drive to the rim, just loading up on it. And there was always a wall when he got there. And so I think, like, we've seen little glimpses of some variety off of his drives. I don't think he's ever going to be like a pull-up jump shooter. I don't think his form really allows for that unless he completely changes kind of the way that he shoots. But I think that in order for him to be a more useful offensive player, especially in the postseason, is to have some counters to that, to have some counters to teams loading up against his drive, whether that is, I was even thinking about, like, could he adapt the Steph Castle, Harrison Barnes, like, slow step thing? Like, can he gear down and hit the slow step? We saw glimpses during the regular season of the little stop, pivot, turnaround, like little hook shot type of thing. But to me, Trevor, like, the biggest thing is to continue to develop counters to your initial attacks. That would really go a long way in his usefulness offensively in particular.
Yeah, I think, like, especially after 100 games, teams just knew that, like, this guy was going to drive and he was going to try to score. And, like, even if that meant like withstand some pump fakes, like, just don't fall for, like, the couple moves that he does have. Like, you're right, there was never there probably shouldn't be a pull-up jumper, or there shouldn't have been a pull-up jumper this year. I feel like, Matt, maybe you remember this, like, I feel like he used to throw up a floater every once in a while, and it wasn't like a bad floater.
No.
So maybe just
even
be
this
willing
season,
to do that.
Like, he had this little short mid-range game, and it just wasn't there in the postseason.
And also, I was listening to Jared Weiss was on Zach Lowe's show yesterday, the day before, and he was just like, I feel like he never, like, passing it. Basically, like, passing is the last option for him, and, like, at that point, especially during the postseason, he just felt like a need to get points on the board, and, like, that would pay off with, like, offensive rebounds and stuff. Like, he wasn't stopping even after, like, the first shot might not have gone in. But it's like, I think just some less predictability, and that would include, like, sneaking in a pass here and there, especially if somebody else is, like, coming from the weak side or something like that. Like, there's open people somewhere.
Yeah, I was about to add, if he could continue to sort of build on his ability to just facilitate a little bit. I thought, I feel like we've seen glimpses of it over the last, like, little bits of development over the last couple of seasons. But, like, once the postseason started, there was something about it. It was just like, it was tunnel vision for him. Anyway, I stepped in. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Keldon? This, by the way, like, when it comes to Devin, when it comes to Keldon, like, this is their first run through the postseason too. And I think that anytime you have this first experience, that magnifying glass is on you and everything that you did wrong. It's something you can take into the film room, into your training sessions, all of that stuff. But I digress. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I think Keldon just has to find ways to contribute offensively, whatever that looks like. There were a few games where he was finding his three-pointer. He had that 21-point game in the Western Conference Finals. But he just has to find ways to bring that energy and that attack on offense in an efficient way, because that's what he did all regular season, and it was huge for the Spurs and a lot of their wins. Real quick before we go to the next segment, moving on from Keldon, Julian Champagnie. Do the Spurs accept his $3 million team option, or should they decline it and sign him to a long-term deal?
Actually, let's save that for the final segment. It's a good conversation to have. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. There are certain flavors that instantly feel like summer, and for a lot of people, those classic red, white, and blue freezer pops are right at the top of the list. Sweet cherry, lime, blue raspberry, it's one of those nostalgic summer flavors everybody recognizes. Now, 5 Hour Energy is bringing that flavor combination into the new Firework Freeze 5-hour energy shot, blending sweet cherry, zesty lime, and electric blue raspberry into one refreshing shot, inspired by those iconic summer freezer pops. That flavor instantly takes me back to being outside all day during summer break, riding bikes, staying out until the streetlights come on, then grabbing one of those freezer pops before fireworks or backyard barbecues. Most energy drinks kind of blur together after a while, right? But this one stands out because it actually feels fun and familiar. Ignite your taste buds with the flavor of the summer. Get a Firework Freeze 5-hour energy shot today. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Quo. Missed calls and slow follow-ups are silent killers for business. That is how money gets left on the table without you even realizing it. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the business communication system built so you never miss a call. Quo helps businesses keep every conversation organized by letting your entire team manage calls and texts, not just one or two people, from one shared number. No more drop messages, missed opportunities, or disconnected communication. The more conversations you're managing, the easier it is to miss important details. Look, I love that Quo automatically summarizes calls and highlights next steps. That helps teams stay organized and spend less time tracking down information. When money is on the line, always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, it is time for the final segment of the show, and we are picking up where we left off. Tyler brought up Julian Champagnie. I think it's a great question in terms of I think I have my answer. I'm going to go to you first, Trevor, but do you rip up that team option? Do you rip up the contract that he's on, making about $3 million next season, and go ahead and give him something longer? Or do you let this thing ride out? I think it's a really good question.
I would at least extend or rip up and new whatever, you know what I mean? Figure out a long-term solution. I guess I wonder, Matt, like what are we thinking? Like 10 million a year? Closer to 15 million a year? Like what's that next contract look like?
I think he's starting to get toward that, I mean, at like the very least, he's getting toward that mid-level exception money. I think that when you have guys that are as valuable as he is from a spacing perspective, like with everything that they're doing, I think that it is looking more like it's closer to 15 million, frankly. Which year over year, these numbers keep going up, and that number would have sounded crazy like
years ago,
beginning of the season.
Well, keep in mind that like when the Spurs paid Danny Green, they paid him like 10 million a year. So like 15 million a year for Julian in today's day and age,
inflation.
And I agree with you, by the way. I think that you want to do right by your guys who are helping you get to where you are. You also have a little bit more room to operate right now. You're not pushing the luxury tax stuff. You have an opportunity to do right by your guy. You're not pushing it out to the end of next year when he's still playing on a $3 million salary and maybe feels some kind of way about it entering unrestricted free agency. I don't think that would be a good situation. So I do think that it's the right move to offer him an extension. Whether or not he takes is one, but whether or not he takes the amount of money they're willing to offer is a whole different discussion. Who knows? But I do think that at some point this offseason that topic is going to be broached. I think that San Antonio wants to take care of him. And I think it would be the right move. They need that dude.
And I think like even if it's like up to like 15, let's just say 15 million a year, like that's probably the high point. That's still a movable deal. Like if they need to, if they need to make, a consolidation trade or whatever in the future, like that's a deal you can. It's not a bad deal.
And
especially
I don't know if 15 is the high point. I think there is a potential higher point. I really do. I mean, you're looking at the way like shooters are paid, man.
Yeah,
Shooters
That's
are
true.
paid.
especially in the 6'7", 6'8" range.
Yeah,
and
big
good
dudes.
defenders.
Because it's not because he's a great rebounder too.
Yes.
I think he's started to kind of show some weaknesses defensively that have kind of been a little bit unexpected. Like in certain matchups, at least to me, it feels like we don't have it hasn't. It's not like there's been some crazy drop off, but like Jalen Brunson was hunting him in the finals, which
Yeah.
if you would have told me that someone would be hunting Julian Champagnie defensively, like even a year ago, 2 years ago, for sure, I would have been like, no way.
After facing Stephon Castle for a few minutes, Julian Champagnie probably feels not super hard.
It's all relative, I guess. Like if you're talking about a weak link, it's all relative. All right, Julian, we hope you get your money this offseason, man.
Yes, sir.
That's all we're saying. Tyler, who's next?
Well, speaking of contracts, Harrison Barnes, resident veteran, his contract is up. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, I believe.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Did the Spurs re-sign Harrison Barnes? He did not see a ton of minutes in the postseason.
Trevor, what have you to say about the Black Falcon?
First of all, respect the Black Falcon. But also, I don't know. I just think like, unless there's first of all, I think vets still matter, even if we're just talking about the 82 game portion of the year versus the 16 game portion of the year. But I think, like, I don't know what the next contract looks like, and I don't know what he's looking for playing time wise. And I feel like he's still, like, let's just say like this team looks pretty similar to what it looks like next year compared to this year. I still think there's like plenty of minutes for him in the regular season because he showed that he still has some tread left on the tire. I just don't know what the next contract looks like, and I don't know if he's like still like, I'm a 20-minute per game player, I'm a 25-minute per game player. I don't know if he still thinks that. He seemed to really enjoy this team this year, and just like, especially after being here. He likes, especially after being in oblivion here over in Sacramento. I would imagine. I would imagine he enjoyed himself, but again, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what that next contract looks like, and I don't know what he's looking like from a on the court perspective.
Well, also, like, keep in mind, and with all due respect, these guys, we're not doing performance reviews on these guys, but like, because like Bismack Biyombo, Kelly Olynyk, Lindy Waters, Jordan McLaughlin, like these guys are all on expirings. I think that's all the guys rounded up, but like they're going to need to fill this roster out. And I think the next step for them is not just putting bodies on the roster, but like contributors, like real contributors that you're going to have confidence in, even in the postseason. Look at like how the Thunder have been built out over the last several years. And I'm not going to lie, man, I was a little bit surprised that Harrison Barnes was just like totally out of the rotation by the end. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about in regards to trust and being willing to expand the roster a little bit. But like, if it is a manageable deal, like something in the range of a mid-level exception, like you can do a lot worse. Like you said before the pod came on, Trevor, you said just like there are 16 game guys in the playoffs, there are 82 game guys in the regular season. Yeah. What is like the one thing we know about Harrison Barnes? If he can play that night, he's going to play. Outside of his like weird ankle or foot thing that popped up this year, like that guy is a body that you can count on. He is a shooter, a smart player. Like, of course, he's lost a step. We know that just athletically, but he is a useful player and a very good veteran who has really enjoyed being in San Antonio. But again, to your point, Trevor, I don't know, what is he looking for in terms of playing time? What is he looking for in terms of money? Those are big questions. No question. Those are big questions. Yes. Tyler, what's up next?
Last guy we're going to talk about is Luke Kornet.
Okay.
Backup center on a 4-year, $40 million deal.
Partially guaranteed in that third year, team option in the fourth year.
Correct.
Yeah.
How can the team set Luke up for success a little better? Luke, just to be clear for everyone who watches Spurs games, Luke Kornet is a very good center and good at defense. It's just that when Victor Wembanyama leaves the floor, other teams are going to immediately attack the rim because it's their only opportunity to get there.
It almost doesn't matter who's back there whenever
No, it doesn't.
Wembanyama's off the court.
I don't think it matters at all.
Luke Kornet, I think that we saw $10 million a year for Luke Kornet is great.
Oh my God,
great,
so good.
And the exact kind of center that you need to play backup for over the course of an entire season as well as a postseason. Where San Antonio, where things sort of, I don't want to say just unraveled, but like one of their weaknesses is that they didn't have the overall depth in the front court to be able to deal with the different varieties of front courts in the NBA. So, like, for instance, you can look at the Luke Kornet minutes against Oklahoma City when they're running out these 5-out type of lineups, and you're like, he's getting killed in space. Whereas against the Knicks, he can go mess with Mitch Robinson for a while. I actually thought he was okay in that series. I thought his minutes went relatively well, all things considered. So I just think that Luke Kornet is exactly the kind of guy that you want at that price for the long haul at this point. Now all that's left is adding around him and building that front court around him. Right, Trevor?
Yeah, I thought, honestly, I think the biggest difference between regular season and the playoffs was that guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson played more in the playoffs. And so Luke Kornet was not seeing bench, a bulk of bench guys. And so, like, yes, like he could not stay in front of SGA and he could not stay in front of Jalen Brunson. And so he got picked on a little bit when he got in those. So I think you keep Luke Kornet, and then, yes, you find, like, who's, like, maybe it's just Carter Bryant grows into this, but, like, who's, like, the switchy small ball five that they can get?
Man,
yeah.
We, like, let's talk about Carter Bryant real quick.
Real quick, Matt, I don't know if you guys talked about this, if you talked about this in any of the draft shows, or maybe you'll talk about it tomorrow, but, like, who's the guy who can be that, like, be, like, a 4, like primarily a 4, but also like play a little bit of 5.
So I guess my question there is, what do you view Carter Bryant as? I think that there will be, matchups where he can play the 4, but I do think that he is a little more suited for that wing position. Not necessarily a big, like, look, I know he's got growing to do. He's got both from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint and just a skills standpoint, all of the above. But like, and I think that there will be lineups where he can be a small ball 4, but I still think that you're going to need someone who's a little bit as Carter Bryant has great size, but you're going to need someone a little bit bigger in that front court, at least in my mind.
I certainly view him more as on defense anyways, as like a Jaden McDaniels / Trey Murphy, as opposed to an Aaron Gordon.
Oh, I got you.
If that makes sense.
For sure.
They can do the dirty work and guard the bigger guys, but they actually would prefer to slide their feet on the perimeter and stuff like that. And that's the sense I got from Carter, is maybe he's a little bit more comfortable locking up smaller guys and moving side to side as opposed to getting in there. Not to say that he was bad when he had to guard up, but it just kind of where I see, like, to me he's a 3-4, and I hope they find a guy who can do like a little bit of 4-3, 4-5. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean. Yeah. Tyler, am I right in saying that maybe the most intrigue around this offseason, at least with the team as presently constituted, not accounting for anyone that's coming in as a free agent or in a trade or in the draft, but the most intrigue is probably Carter Bryant's development, considering, like, we're just kind of assuming that Dylan is going to develop, Steph, Victor, all those guys, we're assuming they're going to just continue to get better. But, like, there's a lot of intrigue about what Carter Bryant can be, because if we're given, as a performance review team, if we're giving a grade, I am just saying, like, incomplete at this point.
For Carter Bryant?
Yeah.
I'd give Carter Bryant an A. I mean,
oh, okay.
I thought Carter Bryant would spend most of the season down in the G League getting seasoning, not up in the main team contributing to a team that ended up going to the finals. And, he got a lot of seasoning in the postseason this year. He got lots of opportunities to go out there and get some experience, even though it was not always. See,
that's why I'm giving it the
scenario.
Is because, like, you started to see this leap during the regular season and then in moments during the playoffs, but then There were a lot of stretches during the postseason where he'd enter the
Looked
game
like a
and it just
rookie.
looked like he was playing football.
Yeah.
Like it looked like he was playing football. It looked like he was a middle linebacker in a
Well,
lot of plays. And I think like he's gonna have to learn to pace himself a little bit, let the game come to him rather than like chasing the game all the time. And that's why I give him incomplete.
The difference between Carter and, say, Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle is that even in college, Carter did not get a ton of minutes.
He's a
until
raw
later
prospect
in his college career.
Yeah.
And, Dylan and Steph were the main guys on their college teams and then got tons of minutes last season and this season, obviously. For me, I just want to see Carter come out, shoot with confidence, and play great defense. He doesn't have to get too fancy with some of the stuff.
That's one thing that we did finally see with him, I think, is he started shooting with confidence in the postseason. Yep. Like I remember early on in the Portland series, he would like just not shoot the ball and it would derail an offensive possession. And he started to do that. That's major progress. Trevor, you've always been an Arizona guy. You've always loved the Arizona guys.
I sure have.
And what were your impressions of Carter this season?
Started slow and I was like, oh, this might be, like Tyler said, this might be a lot of Austin Spurs time. But yes, I appreciated he seemed to just get more confident as he went on. You could tell, and I think he even said this, like, was it him, Victor, and Harrison Barnes like to go hang out and do stuff together? And so
they have a book club, I think.
And I felt very much like there was like prime Harrison Barnes type of skill in there. Yeah, like I was like, Harrison Barnes is like, let me give you my mental powers to match your physical prowess here. No, I guess I would say a B only because it was a lottery pick and things started slow, but really did pick up towards the end. Again, man, I think you mentioned this about Harrison Barnes. I would have liked to have seen both more Barnes and Carter in the postseason, especially during the finals. It felt like they needed that size, and Mitch just didn't quite trust either of them for age reasons on different ends of the spectrum at the end. But I would go a B.
Okay,
it's a solid B for me.
That's fair. I'm just going to stay with the incomplete. I think there's just like so many ups and downs and stops and start. I don't know. It's tough for a guy at that age. You're just like, they're trying as best they can to get him into the rotation. And then boom, suddenly it's the highest leverage basketball you've ever played. Anyway, this concludes our performance reviews for the season. Like we could have spent more time on these, I know, but we don't have the time. We got to talk about the draft. It's on Tuesday. More to come, of course, over the offseason. But for now, thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen, where we cover the San Antonio Spurs every single day. Remember to subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. Share videos, let people know about us, all that kind of stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at Matthew_Tynan, as well as at the Corporate Knowledge newsletter, MatthewTynan.substack.com. Trevor, it says it on the screen, but for those audio only, where can they find you?
Look for me on Blue Sky. I'm trying to stay away from Twitter these days.
Man.
Game 5 broke me, or at least the conversation. I knew coming out of Game 5 that was going to happen, and I'm sure broke me. Trevor Z on Blue Sky. Also, draft night, depending on whether or not Matt opens up a thread on his Substack, I will. Maybe that's where I hop in and make my feelings about Brian Wright's draft selections known.
Absolutely, man. Please do. Tyler, where can they find you, sir?
I am over on Instagram at Tyler Prince Film and running the Locked On Spurs account.
That's right.
Quick reminder, we already talked about it, but we're gonna have Tyler Rucker on the pod tomorrow from No Ceilings talking about the NBA draft.
That is correct. All righty. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. And just to let you all know, for your second listen, check out the 2026 Locked On NBA Draft, NBA Mock Draft. It's the most comprehensive NBA draft analysis from NBA Draft and college experts. Find the 2026 Locked On NBA Mock Draft on Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. For Trevor, for Tyler, for Corey Zanoni over in Australia, inserting some of these questions. My name is Matthew Tynan. We will be back tomorrow with Tyler Rucker and some draft talk. See you then.